And Billy, I look at the head of the top of the Atlantic Division, and Shazam, it's still the Boston Bruins. What the heck is going on that the Boston Bruins can keep on winning?
Yeah, and they went into the break losing 4. Now they got 2 loser points, Shanny, in that time, but they still lost 4 games, and they didn't look good, and it didn't feel good. And there was, whoa, what is going on in Boston right now? But then again, a lot of people forgot that they didn't think that this team would be so good this year. They weren't sure what would happen. But then they rectified that. They really needed the break. They really needed the holiday break, and it gave it to them. And they've come back and won 3 in a row. Their goaltending, Linus Ullmark, Jeremy Swayman, continues to be absolutely freaking outstanding. And now the big boys with the rest have come through. Pasternak's been MVP caliber all year. Marchand's elevated. Coyle's back. DeBrusk is scoring. He was playing okay before, but now he's scoring. And again, and the team looks a lot better. Where it goes from here, Shanny, Bobby, who knows? But so far, it's looked really, really good. I'll tell you what, though, nipping on their heels, the Panthers, they're looking pretty good. They're looking good.
The interesting thing to me is that no team has jumped out as like being the best in the NHL, East or West.
You're right.
For a while, it was Vegas, but they've come back to earth. And Boston is there, but so are the Rangers, as you mentioned. So are Carolina. There's nobody that really is, the team to beat right now. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on that.
No, there isn't. Every team has gone through significant lulls. Like Vegas, after losing at Winter Classic, I think, what are they, 1-5 in their last 6 games?
I tell you, here's the stat. So they went 10-0-1 their first 11 games. Yeah, undefeated, and they're 500 the rest of the year.
Same thing with Boston, except for this last bump, Shanny. They went 14-1-3, if I remember correctly, in their first 18. So it's the exact same thing. They're a little over 500 now. Listen, a lot of it, we've seen a lot of injuries. I think we maybe always do, but it seems like we've seen some significant injuries this year to important positions, goaltending being the most. We've also seen some incredibly inconsistent goaltending this year from a lot of teams that hasn't helped. And, we've seen a shift. Now, I still think Vegas is excellent. I still like the Rangers a lot, especially their depth down the middle. I used to think, Bob, their D was really, really impressive, and I haven't liked them as much, their defense. They've shown some weakness isn't the right term, some flaws, maybe, Bob, is a better term for the Rangers. Carolina has gotten they had a lot of crap going on early on in there. They couldn't win on the road, and now they're better. But it just doesn't seem like teams have found a significant groove yet. Again, I know it's very, what's the term, myopic, maybe, my focus on Boston at times. But except for that 1 4-game lull, they've been pretty good. And with that said, a lot of people still look at them and say, we're not sure about them. And I get it. There's a lot of things around this league that I'm not sure about. But here's the beauty. We're not even 40 games in. We're literally not even, maybe a few teams are there or close to it, but we're not even officially halfway through.
That's the fascination for me, is expectations in so many markets this year were so high. Look at the expectations in Toronto with what was supposed to happen. Question marks in goal.
But that's a great, it's an awesome comment, Shanny. If we're being honest, they didn't address their weakness in Toronto ever. They never did. So everybody thought they were going to Edmonton it and outscore their issues, right? That's what they thought they were going to do.
They've been thinking that for 4 years, man, 5 years.
Right.
You're right. They did not address their defense. They could for cap reasons.
Well,
and they still
yes
have those...
and no. Yes and no. Now listen. This is probably too of a off-topic conversation here, but they put $4 million 1 year into Klingberg. They put, I don't remember what it was, into Bertuzzi, 5.5. So I don't remember. $5 million. Yeah. Okay, and then Domi at $1 million or what? My point is, maybe there wasn't an $8 million defenseman out there for them to get, but they did not address it. But Shanny, I apologize for interrupting you, but they didn't address their needs. But yes, you're right. Expectations were through the roof. They were.
Well, if I would have told you that the two goaltenders for the Toronto Maple Leafs in their next game on January 2nd, 2024 are Martin Jones and a guy named Hilby, you would have told me, who? Martin Jones is still playing in this league? Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah. I would have had a good chuckle. And that sounds, I don't mean to, I never mean to be disrespectful to the player themselves. So I'm not being to them. I'd be like, whoa. But what it's like, I do a show with Andrew Raycroft, former Leafs goalie, speaking of Leafs goaltenders. And Razor and I were talking, and he talked about the pressure of playing in a Canadian market, and a major Canadian market has gotten so freaking significantly difficult that, you know what, Shanny, maybe we shouldn't be surprised. Maybe we should. I mean, Samsonov was always a roller coaster, even with Washington. He was always a roller coaster. I'm not sure what would change going to perhaps the most difficult market in the entire hockey world. I don't know if that would help him going there or not. Maybe they put a blind eye to it and they hope that. But then the unfortunate injury is Joe Wall. We don't know how good he would be when it was all said and done, but the kid was at least showing some gumption, some fortitude. But you're right. The fact that Martin Jones and the 22-year-old Swedish kid is Hilby is their I think backup, maybe starter by tomorrow. I don't know. It's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Well, the one thing I would say about that is pressure in a Canadian city. Why did Connor Hellebuck sign in Winnipeg for 7 more years then? I mean, here was a guy that could control his own fate next summer. That is, so there, Thatcher Demko is doing pretty well, and I think the toughest market in the country.
Okay, so you can answer this better than me. I know it's fish bowls in some of these markets. I get it. I know that, but I don't live up there. So I agree with you about Vancouver. I've heard it can be a pretty vicious market at times. I've heard about that, but
only when they're losing.
Okay, well, that's pretty much the same. Although I can tell you, fans, even when the Bruins are winning, they're still pretty tough on them and everything. Last year did a doozy number on the fans, and rightfully so, by the way. But you tell me, is Winnipeg a heavy-duty hard market for a guy to say, wait a second, I'm going to get $8.5 million? I don't know if he could have gotten $8.5 million in many other markets, John. I don't know if he could have, because teams don't want to put more than $9 million into 2 goalies, if they can avoid it. I don't know if he could have. I mean, I don't have the list in front of me. And maybe a guy like Hellebuck said, geez, you know what? My agent's done all the work. I've looked at all the realistic potential places to go. I don't want to go play in A, B, and C. I don't want to go play there. So maybe I should just stay here and get the guaranteed money.
I think this notion that there's an issue of pressure on goaltenders, wherever it is, whether it's in Canada or any place else, I think that's nonsense. These guys are supposed to be, they are professional athletes. They are going to be criticized. They are going to be condemned if they don't play well.
Yeah, different though, Bob. Come on, it's different in different markets. Wouldn't you agree about that?
No, I don't. Well, I think it is different, but it shouldn't be. I think that should be part of the condition that you play under. You have to understand, if you're going to be a professional, if you're going to be paid for playing hockey or anything else, you are going to be criticized.
I don't think that's. I understand. I think these guys get criticism, Bob. I think they get that. I just don't know. There's a difference between getting criticized. I'm going to pick on Columbus, okay, where they've had bad goaltending or less than adequate. Look, if let's actually go to the forwards. If Patrick Laine or Johnny Gaudreau were in a different market, the amount of criticism, not just in the media, but social media, public, it would be vastly different. And again, I'm getting off topic here, but can't you agree that would be vastly different than, let's say, what it is in Columbus, where they have 2 writers covering the team?
Well, I agree, but you are suggesting that that these players who are criticized, we should be forgiving of their performance because of it.
No, I'm not. I'm saying certain. Don't know. No, I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying that maybe some guys handle it better than others. Just like
Well,
some.
they do. I know that. I agree with that. But I
Okay,
don't
well,
think
that's what I'm getting to, and that with the people, there have been other athletes in many sports, but in hockey in general, that have talked about loving the Canadian markets when they're good because it's whatever, but then having a harder time when it's not so good. And Toronto's the mega. It's the mega market of any place. It's the mega market. Shanny, you say that Vancouver might be the toughest, but I don't know, the amount of people in Toronto from a guy looking outside in looks like to me Toronto is the mega market. But you guys, again, I don't live there.